I'm Lily, I'm 26 years old, and I never cleaned out my high school closet, as you can see from this massive pile of bags on the floor behind me. If you're new here, I talk about sustainable fashion and living on this channel, and one of the things I talk about a lot is how to donate your clothes more responsibly so that they end up getting used and not trashed or dumped abroad like most clothing is that's donated to thrift stores. So today I thought I would put all my suggestions to the test and actually clean out as much of my closet as I can and see which organizations I can give to and how much effort that is. This is going to be more of just like a closet clean out video. If you're looking for actual tips on places to donate, I do have a blog post on 23 places to donate clothing besides Goodwill that is over on my blog, and I'll link it down in the description box. And all those places are a little bit more general organizations, so even if you're located in different parts of the world or the country, you should be able to Google this sort of organization near me and get some specific places to donate. And with that, let's dive into the video. We're gonna start with winter stuff, which I already pulled out in a pile right behind me. And we're starting with this because I don't have the patience to do this all in one go like you see in the other YouTube videos. I have a feeling that by the time I finish this, it's gonna be winter again a whole year later, or at least a different season. But we're starting with winter stuff because it is winter right now, so that kind of thing will be in high demand in places like homeless shelters and youth emergency shelters. So I wanna make sure we're sticking to seasonal things that are in need. Well, I typically like to give clothing away directly to people who need it through things like Buy Nothing groups. They're hyper local online groups where you can give and get things for free. Unfortunately, that's not as much of a concept where I am right now in the suburbs in the Midwest. They were pretty big in Boston where I was living for a few years. So I'm gonna have to stick with giving these things to a free store or a local homeless shelter or youth emergency shelter. But I do highly encourage you all to check out your local Buy Nothing group. There's also Everything is Free groups and also a forum called freecycle.org. I'm gonna start with the professional clothing, and I have my trusty big Kohl's bag here to put everything in. So I think a lot of times people forget that professional clothing is actually needed at places like homeless shelters. Some of the people there might need to be interviewing for jobs to get back on their feet, so stuff like blazers and professional pants can actually be really helpful. I was a huge blazer gal in high school, which doesn't make any sense because now I'm a working adult and I don't actually wear professional wear very often because I work remotely for a startup, but this is a super comfortable blazer. I wore it a lot. I think it'll look really good on someone as they're interviewing. I got this blazer. I thrifted it in Boston in 2015. It's great quality, very versatile. It's from Nautica. Unfortunately, it just didn't fit me quite right. I think it got accidentally put in the women's section when it should have been in the kids section because it's tight in the shoulders and oddly short in the arms. But I think it'll be good for someone who's more petite. I have a couple things, mostly sweaters, that I didn't actually wear. This one still has tags on it actually. And it was because my mom got them for me and they're not actually quite my style. And I feel like it's always kind of awkward when people get you things because, you know, they're trying to do a nice thing for you. But if you don't wear them, it's ultimately kind of a waste. These are pretty warm and stylish, so I think someone will appreciate them. One thing I've learned is when you're in this sort of situation where people are getting you things that you don't want or need is to just say that you're trying to accumulate less things for sustainability purposes and trying to buy as little as possible, so you don't need any clothes, but you appreciate the thought. This military jacket was my first gifted item as a blogger. I think I got it in like 2013. And it's from this small brand called Brow NY. I don't think it exists anymore. I looked it up recently and couldn't find anything about it. I love this jacket. It's just not really my style anymore. I tend to wear more earthy tones and warm tones instead of cool tones with silver accents. Was anyone else a fan of Elsie Lauren Conrad by Kohl's? Kohl's was like my biggest jam back then, and Elsie Lauren Conrad just had the most romantic styles and colors. I have quite a few of her pieces, and I'm just really not much of a pastel kind of like romantic style girl anymore, but these are really lovely and they were decent quality as well. Okay, I was a huge scarf gal in high school and college. I'll show you a couple of my favorites. This one I wore a lot just because of the nice colors, and I had a skater dress that was this shade of teal on the scarf. And then I was a big mint and pink person, so I wore this a lot with my light pink cardigan. This bag is getting really tall. I got this top from a grocery store. I always thought this was fun because it has this like fake layered look where you have this fake collar and like the hint of the button down underneath, but there's actually no button down, it's just a sweater. I was so proud when I got this cardigan. I thrifted it and it's Zara brand, and Zara was kind of like that nicer brand compared to Forever 21 and H&M, so I was very proud of myself and I wore this quite a bit. Alright, you can tell that I really love the color pink. Speaking of nice brands, I was also super proud of these Aerie sweatpants because Aerie was one of those brands like Hollister and H&M and Abercrombie and Fitch that everyone, you know, was wearing, and I always tried to like seem cool and like unique, and I would joke that, oh, who would want to pay to advertise for these brands, because what was popular were those logo shirts, right, that literally were just plain, had the name of the brand on it, but you know, deep down inside I really just wanted to fit in, so I did get a few Aerie American Eagle things, not the actual branded ones most of the time, but it just felt cool, you know, to have what everyone else was wearing. Unfortunately, I never actually wore this pair of sweats a lot. I have another pair of super ratty sweats that I'm still wearing to this day that I liked quite a bit from Aerie, but it was because this is terry cloth instead of the brushed fleece that's really cozy. These are still in great condition though. I think someone will find these really comfortable. I got this Forever 21 sweater in college, and it has this turtleneck, the trendy high-low hem. I just don't wear this color anymore. Anyone remember the Wet Seal Mall brand? I don't know if it exists anymore. This was a great sweater. Love the lace detailing in this light blue color. Nice little rain jacket from Target. Just don't wear that one anymore because I have a more packable one I got in France a few years ago. Last one. This is actually not one of my most worn pieces, but I'm very sentimental about it because I wore it in this side-by-side photo I took my senior year of high school. On one side it was in my wild middle school outfit with striped leggings, a houndstooth hoodie, a belt over a shirt, hot pink shorts over the leggings. And then on the right I was wearing this sweater with a light pink skirt and some black knee socks and sparkly flats to match the sparkly pocket. And I thought it was just funny to compare how my style had mellowed out over the years, and that photo to this day still makes me smile. And I feel like this whole experience is really a walk down memory lane, and seeing how my style has evolved over the years. I definitely have mellowed out quite a bit, but I think my style was right for me at those stages of life when I was in them. Last one. Alrighty, look at this. Look at this massive bag. I also ended up adding these two ombre sweaters. The style was kind of an icon of the 2010s. I also added this fuzzy cardigan from Forever 21. I used to be so in love with this cozy fuzzy texture. Finally, I added these retired running shoes that just had too many miles in them, but were still perfectly good for walking around. I like to keep some for going to the gym or gardening, but you only need so many of those pairs of shoes. Of course, I made sure to scrub the shoes with an old toothbrush to make sure they were clean for the next person to put them on. I split everything into 3 bags so they were easier to carry, and I brought everything over to Star House, a local youth emergency shelter in Ohio. So now let's talk underwear. You don't actually have to throw away your old underwear. You can recycle them. So these 2 bags right here are full of old underwear, socks, bras, and tights. It's about like 11 pounds of it, and they're going off to the recycling program by a sustainable brand, Nikki. So Nikki makes their own organic cotton and fair trade underwear, but they'll also recycle underwear, bras, socks, and tights from any brand. And all you have to do is pay $5 for each shipping label. Count up how many of each piece you have so they can estimate the weight for the label, and then print out that label, stick it on your bag or box, upcycle that packaging, and ship it out with USPS. So what Nikki does with the old items when they get them in is that any pieces in good condition can be reused, and then anything that is not is downcycled into things like housing insulation, cleaning rags, or made into new yarn. So it's pretty cool that these old textiles can be made into something new. Hey, so editing Lily here in 2023. Just wanted to add that Nikki rebranded to Subset in the fall, and now the shipping labels are totally free and you get $15 of credit onto your account when you recycle through them. Finally, the program is only available in the US and in Canada. My next project was to find a solution for my clothing in poor condition. So that's stuff that was stained or torn, or things that I've mended before that are just on their last leg and can't be mended again. I wanted also to find a solution for my beloved sweatpants from high school that had crotch holes in them. So when you have clothing in this condition, you have a few options. The first is to go with local textile recycling programs. They're usually free and sometimes they do pickups. I didn't have one in my area. My next option was to post on Facebook Marketplace and freecycle.org and buy nothing groups. Even if the clothing is in really bad condition, there might be some people who have use for rags and old textiles. So people like plumbers and mechanics and farmers can use clothing rags in their work, and artists also sometimes need textiles in their work. So I did post about some old cotton t-shirts that I got from events, and I'm going to see if I get a reply. And if I don't, I'll put them in with these two bags behind me. So I ended up mainly going with a third option, which is the 4 Days Take Back bag. So 4 Days is a sustainable brand that makes organic cotton clothing that is fully circular. So they'll be able to recycle any clothing from them into new clothing. But they also have a recycling program where you can send in used clothing from any brand in any condition, and they will ensure that it doesn't end up in the landfill. So they'll do the sorting and see what can be passed on, what can be turned into new clothing, and what needs to be downcycled. These take back bags cost $20 each, but then you're able to use that money as credit on your account to buy new 4 Days clothing, so it doesn't just disappear. And these are super convenient because they mail these to you in a small cardboard envelope, and then there's a QR code at the bottom of the bag that you can scan to get your shipping label or get another QR code to show at USPS. I like these a lot because, you don't have to really coordinate very much. You don't have to coordinate pickup or drop off, and since it's a sustainable brand, I feel that it's more trustworthy than other recycling programs by like H&M or Madewell, where oftentimes those are more to get people in the stores to get a discount and buy more clothing. Just wanted to provide a quick update on 4 Days and a free alternative to their take back bag. So 4 Days no longer makes its own clothing. It's more now of a sustainable brand platform where you can buy stuff from other sustainable clothing companies. They do still have their take back bag, but keep in mind it is for US people only. If you are looking for something that's free, or if you're in Canada, I would recommend the Thousand Fell recycling program. So they're a circular shoe company where you can recycle shoes made by them, but they also let you recycle clothing of any condition from any brand. Their recycling program labels are free, but the only thing is you're limited to up to 10 items at a time, and the size of your package is also kind of small. So you have a 13 by 18 envelope or a small box of a similar size. The cool thing is that you do get credit for each item you recycle through them. It's $5 per item. So if you only have a few things to recycle and they're not too big, I would recommend Thousand Fell because it's free. So I filled these two bags up with clothing that was in bad condition or clothing that I just didn't think would sell in a thrift store. They're not quite full yet. I do recommend packing them as tightly as you can and filling those little crevices, but just be careful because the bag can be delicate and can rip. I'm still waiting to see if I want to put in the cotton t-shirts I posted about in the free cycle group, because I personally don't need them for cleaning rags. I have plenty of them, and I also don't think people in thrift stores want a shirt that says Math Counts 2009, for example. So once I hear back or don't hear back, I'll throw those t-shirts in there and pack them up and take them to the post office. And I really appreciate the 4 Days Take Back bags because they help me figure out what to do with clothes that would probably end up in a landfill if they got donated to a thrift store. So it's awesome to see programs like this salvaging clothes like that. So I did end up having a taker for the old t-shirts and the local free cycle group. A lady responded a couple hours later and said that she would love them. She likes to use old t-shirts as rags to wax old antiques or just clean them up. She has a stand in an antique mall, or I think she owns an antique mall, and she actually usually has to steal her husband's old shirts to do all this cleaning up. So that was really exciting. She came and got the shirts the same day and the same afternoon, and it just like goes to show you that you never know what someone might want that you no longer need. So after that, there's just one more major group of things I want to get rid of, and that is my formal dresses from high school. I bought a bunch on clearance at Macy's for like $15 at the time, and I told myself that if I didn't wear them to a dance, I would wear them to weddings one day, which was very flawed logic, because who wants to wear a sequin, sparkly dress to a wedding? And also, who stays the same size from high school? A lot of people don't. Some people do, but most people don't. So I have a bunch of these that I would like to pass on. A lot of them I never wore. And there are some organizations that take formal dresses and give them away for free for prom and other formal dances. So there's one called Cinderella's Closet in the Midwest, I believe, and then another called Fairy Godmothers, which is Central Ohio. And there might be some organizations near you, so I encourage you to check that out. Otherwise, you can always try to give these away directly through Buy Nothing groups, freecycle.org. I just wanted to take a moment to give these dresses the airtime they deserve. These first two were the only ones I could still fit in. I loved this one because of the lace back. This next one was so fun because of how flouncy and voluminous the tulle was. And this one was just a classic with the gold glitter and white tulle. I liked this next one because of the flower one shoulder. And finally, this one was my absolute favorite because of the jewel tones and all the sparkles. Here is me dropping off the dresses at Fairy Goodmothers, and I had a chance to walk around their warehouse as well. So one thing I didn't talk a lot about is shoes, and that's because shoes are made out of a lot of different materials, and it's really hard to recycle those. If you do have shoes in good condition, there are still programs that'll take those in. So there's DSW, there's Souls for Souls, still thrift stores, direct giving groups. But if your shoes are in bad condition, there's not much you can do about it except throw them in the trash. If you do have athletic shoes, there are a couple programs such as Nike Reuse a Shoe and Hilo Athletic Shoe Recycling. So Nike Reuse a Shoe will turn old athletic shoes into things like tracks. You do have to bring them in directly to the Nike stores. I don't super trust Nike because it's not a sustainable brand. It could just be a ploy to get people into stores and, you know, maybe buy more stuff. We don't have a lot of transparency into what percentage of shoes are recycled, but Hilo is a sustainable running shoe brand, an athletic shoe brand in the UK, and they will give you a free shipping label for up to 3 pairs of athletic shoes at a time. And I trust them to actually do something with the shoes. So I would recommend that if you do have really old athletic shoes. So that pretty much wraps up the video. I am still hanging on to a few bags of clothing. It probably looks like I never cleaned out my closet at all because there's still 3 fairly large bags of clothing at the bottom of my closet. One is higher quality clothing that I think has some resale value, so I might eventually sell it on Poshmark or Mercari. The second bag is clothing that's still in really good condition but doesn't have much resale value. I want to give that away to a local free store, and it's seasonal summer clothing, and I didn't get a chance to drop it off before I leave for this longer trip, so I might end up having to do that next year. Just want to keep it honest, the process can be really long of cleaning out your closet. And then the final bag is clothing that I feel more sentimental about. It's stuff that I remember wearing a lot when I was younger, and so I want to hang on to it for at least a little bit longer. Maybe one day I'll pass it on to my kids. They'll probably hate it and think it's ugly, but you never know. I know it took me a while to reach a point where I enjoyed older kind of vintage retro clothing, so maybe one day that'll be that for my children. But all in all, I'm really proud of myself for undertaking this journey of cleaning out my high school closet. And when this video started, I was 26, now I am 27. So it feels really good after all these years to have more of a closet that aligns more with my current personal style, and to pass on clothing that I'm hoping will be able to help others and make them feel good about their personal style. Like I said, I have a ton more resources on my blog if you're looking for lists of organizations to search for near you. I'll link those down in the description box. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.